Is it normal for a 20-year-old to have a body count of 201 girls? That was before I met my wife. She's the first and only serious relationship I've had. I'm one of those guys that girls are just drawn to. I don't have to do or say anything special to impress them. They're just drawn to me like a magnet. It's like they just want me the first minute they see me. I'm not going to deny, I want them too. I'm lucky enough to be married to one of the most beautiful women in the world. She's thoughtful, selfless, and she trusts me with everything, including remaining faithful to her. However, I haven't been faithful because I'm a nymphomaniac. And on top of that, I'm very handsome. I told her from day one, but I don't think she knows to what extent. We've been together for 11.5 years. She's the mother of my 2 kids. Since we've been together, I must have slept with 100 different women, or more. Some of them more than once. I even slept with multiple women while she was pregnant, with both of my kids. She didn't deserve that, and I don't deserve her. I started to cheat on her from day one. I dropped her home after our first date, walked her to our door, we had our first kiss. On my way home, I saw her friend. And with all this going on out there, I didn't want to leave her on the streets. So I gave her a lift. Honestly, my only intention was to make sure she got home safely. But she came on to me. We ended up having sex in my car. Afterward, I felt so awkward around them both. And we did it again on many occasions, until the cheating felt normal. A few days before our wedding, my wife-to-be was staying at the maid of honor's house. So I was home alone. I got a call from the maid of honor saying she was outside and she needed to pick up a few things for my wife. I told her that I was about to go in the shower. She said no problem. She would just let herself in. While I was in the shower, she came in naked as the day she was born. We didn't exchange any words. She just started doing things to me. I was in shock, and I had to ask myself, who is she honoring? On the night of our wedding, just after we got married, I felt so guilty for what I had done a few days ago with my wife's maid of dishonor. So I sort of sneaked away from everyone and went and sat in the limousine, feeling sorry for my actions. My wife's sister followed me, asked if I'm okay. I was telling her that I didn't deserve her sister. Before I could tell her why, she jumped on me and started kissing me all over. I couldn't resist, and we ended up having sex. Afterward, she said she wanted to do that from the first minute she saw me. At the hotel where we spent our honeymoon, one morning my wife went to use the gym on site. When the maid came to tidy our room, her body language was a bit flirty, which got me aroused. I slightly held onto her hands, and she didn't resist one bit. We had a quickie, and if that wasn't enough, on the plane returning home from our honeymoon, while my wife was asleep, the flight attendant grabbed my crotch while serving me. Then she gave me a wink. Shortly after, I followed her to the back of the plane in the toilet, and we had sex. I always wanted to do that on a plane. I stopped to think, 4 different women in less than 10 days? It's getting worse. I had to seek help, and I started to attend a group with people who had the same problem. I didn't realize that there were so many people out there with the same issue, some even worse than myself. But that didn't help me one bit. I ended up sleeping with nearly half of the ladies in the group. If my wife found out what I've been up to, it will break her heart, and she might never talk to me again. I really don't want to lose her. It's getting worse. After listening to all the other people's stories with the same issues I have, one of the things that stood out to me was when one of them said that his wife left him and took the kids with her, and he hasn't seen them for nearly 5 years. I don't know how I would handle that. Here's where things start to get even more testing. My wife asked me to go pick up her cousin from the airport. On the way home, while I was driving, my wife's cousin placed her hand on my thigh. All the molecules in my body were telling me to act upon it, but I pretended not to notice and continued driving. I felt proud of myself. For the first time, I found the strength to resist. I don't know how long I'd have been able to do that. What made the situation even worse was my wife was at work. I was off. I was in the sitting room playing my PlayStation. and my wife's cousin just got out the shower. She had no reason to come downstairs, much less into the living room. She walked across the TV and pretended to accidentally drop the towel that she had wrapped around her, trying to lure me into her trap. "Oops," she said, then quickly picked up the towel, wrapped it around her, and went to her room. Again, I pretended not to notice. I pretended to be distracted by the game I was playing. As she entered her room, she glanced behind me to see my reaction. I put my face in one of the cushions and screamed as loudly as possible in frustration. I couldn't resist any longer, and I went into her room. For the rest of her stay, we must have had sex more than 10 times. I really want to stop, but I can't. I just found out my condition is hereditary. You might think I'm bad, but wait until you hear my sister's story. Can you relate? Please subscribe to this channel. Like and share this story. It's free to subscribe.